solid first pick. The Ezreal gone as well. I don't see anything else really being worthy of it comparatively to that Leona, especially with Rumble losing the previous game, knowing that Zika's willing to bring out that Aatrox and put up such a good performance on it. So now LNG, I mean, Ashe open is always really strong. You could even go Ashe Braum. Braum was banned earlier in the series to try and deny this sort of combo.
Yeah,
just gives such a strong lane.
It's also just really good in the Leona as well. I think LNG might have been pulling a fast one over LGD. They left open some crucial picks, but there were too many for LGD to pick through. They go with the Leona, and it's answered in kind with the Freljordian bot lane. And I actually really like this onus being given over to Gala and Hum.
Do you know, I wouldn't even hate LNG going for like a Sejuani third here. Just like full Freljord, but also just like all very good picks in the meta right now. Good picks in the way that LNG play. It's something that WeiWei has played a ton of. He's got 7 games this split, and he's won all but one of them. Obviously not winning the first game of this series on that Sejuani. Mid lane is being hovered here by LGD. That Zeri has been seen more in the mid lane recently. I wonder if Haichao will take that, or if this is just a bit of a bait and switch for Shaoye.
Yeah, you can still be pretty flexible with it. Shaoye has been the one for LGD that's been highlighting that one at least recently, but it is going to be a bit of that flexible gameplay being able to come through and going into the second phase of bans, so keeping LNG guessing just a tad bit. But I think LNG on the other side, they need to kind of round out maybe some of that consistent damage. They're going to go back to a tried and true of scouts in the past, and something we've been seeing crop up a little bit more here in the Azir.
Yeah, scoreline struggled a bit in game number 1 for Scout on the Azir, but I felt like in terms of his mechanical play, it was decent, you know, like getting consistently dived by both enemy solo laners is never good for your health. We'll see how he does here in game number 3. And like, you know, doing a better job in game 2 of surviving this clear targeting that LGD are bringing, so maybe that can improve even further for game 3.
Unfortunately, that bird did not have wings in that game number 1. Maybe the bird will grow them here in game number 3, but it is also the Lucian that's going to be banned away, so maybe trying to take away some of those flexible tools that you can use with the Zeri. It is the full top lane focus by LGD, so maybe that side lane pressure, maybe a little bit of a frightening feature that they don't want to deal with.
So LNG now, they've got to go for something blind. They really don't know what's going into any lane. So top lane blind, or going, I guess you could go for the jungle pick to answer, but instead prioritizing that Cassante, knowing that you're relatively safe up there, especially with the Camille ban and the Gnar ban. I feel like you've kind of, honestly, LGD have kind of set LNG up to have the Cassante. They go for the Rumble to answer, but Cassante feels okay at just surviving against the Rumble in laning phase.
I think the big unlocking factor for the Rumble in this one is the Equalizer plus Lilting Lullaby combo, where you don't pull them out of the sleep. They're going to get a lot of follow-up here with one of my personal favorites in the Jhin for LGD, but it's really about using the early pressure you can have with the Jhin and setting up your other big carries.
So Jhin for Shaoye. There it is, Haichao taking the Zeri mid. I mean, there's plenty of damage elsewhere in the composition for Jhin to follow up on. It does feel good, but the Maokai once again for WeiWei instead of going for that Sejuani. I think, honestly, Maokai does very, very well and sort of facilitates a similar role to the Sejuani, but the engage is just a little more consistent with the roots, right? It's a little easier to guarantee that you're going to hit someone with that. And it does shore up the lack of hard engage elsewhere in the composition for LNG.
And just gives them a lot of spacing tools. I think for LNG, you'll be looking especially at Gala once he gets level 6 to be the initiator in a lot of cases, and the follow-up engage going to be there as well. You can also change up how you approach in that fashion with the Nature's Grasp and things like that out of WeiWei, but I'm very curious to see if LGD can keep themselves afloat once LNG get all of those tools, because it will be very difficult to even present yourself in front of these objectives, which is something that LGD want to do with this composition. They want to try to get JinJiao matched up with Meteor and have them have the strength through the jungle to keep him ahead of WeiWei in terms of the jungle clear.
I'm really curious just to see how LGD pilot this composition as well, because Haichao, not a single professional game of Zeri. Shaoye has only played 2 games with Jin this split, and they haven't ended up in wins. The Rumble, again, a pick that Burdol's not played loads of, although he showed proficiency in terms of cheesing the 1v1. It was a little rougher later on in the game. We'll see how LGD do on this composition that's a little outside their comfort zone.
A little bit of hope in the crowd. Wanting eyes for a victory for LNG. A series, again, I don't think that anybody would really expect to be to a third game when you're looking at this one on paper. I think that's what we've highlighted so much of, but props to LGD. They've doubled their wins in the Rumble stage here, but it also has just been taking advantage of maybe some of the lack of respect, maybe the overconfidence that LNG have brought to the table today.
Yeah, I don't exactly know what it is with LNG, whether it is, like you say, overconfidence and just getting a little cocky, or... But to be honest, when you think back to that game number 1, it didn't feel like cockiness necessarily. It felt like they were being outplayed in those fights. It felt like...
Besides Gala's.
I mean, well, no, Gala even got outplayed, right? He went forward for that 1v4, couldn't land the Mystic shots. Like, if he plays that slightly better, he probably gets a quadra kill, right? But he didn't. At the end of the day, he didn't. He wasn't able to make the big play. I think that one maybe was cockiness. Maybe was a little bit of disrespect towards LGD. Generally speaking, LNG, I don't think they're going to, even if they win this third game, I don't think that they're going to walk away happy with the way that this series has gone.
And I think it's also just, again, going back to the game plan of focusing on Scout. I think we have seen, especially being able to take advantage of the mid-game transitions of LNG. And they have been able to capitalize on those as we see big trades going the way of both sides of the map.
Yeah, Burdol hitting that level 2 spike. It's so potent on the Rumble. As Gala and Hung, you can expect them to pretty much have prio all laning phase long. Ash Brom is just so horrendous to fight against, honestly. It's so oppressive. The stuns, the slows, you just can't... You can't ever get away. And the thing is, like, usually you can just dodge Brom's Q, right, and that makes it okay. But with Ash there to slow you beforehand, it's basically impossible for Brom to miss his Q as well. So it just feels so oppressive to play against this duo.
I don't know if they have this in the UK. Do you have a game that you do when you're driving called like Freeze Out or something along those lines, where it's like really cold outside and you just lower all the windows and the first ones to close their window, you know, lose? Do you have that? No?
I've never played it, but I guarantee I would win that game. I don't feel...
Okay. Well, right now, Gala and Hung, they're winning that game. Shaoye and JinJiao, they're going to be on the back foot with a lot of this, and this is also going to enable a lot of strength in that 2v2 for LNG. And Gala has been kind of building himself up in this series in a lot of the cases.
Certainly has been. Meteor just going to stroll in and smite that away from WeiWei. WeiWei didn't even have his smite up. And with that, Meteor could just move up to the top side as well and grab a double crab. Not too shabby of a start there for Meteor. I think he'll be quite happy with how that one's gone. Scout doing his best to get this CS while being just hammered away by Haichao. Meteor will get the double skull. WeiWei trying to move over, but he will be too late, unfortunately. 4 dropped and tries to go for his raptors. Both smites are up right here. This could be a steal. No, WeiWei grabs it in the end, and Meteor send packing.
Maybe Haichao might move up those saplings. The kittens in the bush going to be helping out WeiWei. But it is also a thing where we have to talk about Meteor's Lily. I mean, it has been pretty brutal in a lot of cases, and he's been able to have a lot of really, really nice setups.
Yeah, this series, it's looked really nice. Consistently finding multiple people with his sleeps. And the swirl seeds as well have been on point, like the one eagle in game number 2 against Gala, just finding that moment. And the question will be if LNG can kind of outspace it, you know, because this composition, not exactly like a max range keep away from them composition, like with a Braum, with a Maokai, with a Cassante. You are quite willing to go into short range fights, which is exactly what Lilia wants. One of the observers there zooming in on Zika, trying to get the CS under the tower. I think he got all but one. Nicely done there by Zika. But yeah, it does feel like a game that should be decent for Meteor in terms of being able to get that damage out on Lilia and be able to get value out of those ultimates.
And I think it's been a really cool story, I guess, for Meteor. Maybe not the highest glitz and glams that you'd want for an LGD organization that hasn't been very consistent in their regard, but it is a factor where they've been sticking by Meteor for the last almost 2 years, I guess, at the end of this one. But it's been really nice to see that in this series in particular, he's been able to keep up with WeiWei, who did just find himself in a World Finals not too long ago. There is the Dragon, though, going down for LNG. They'll use some of that strength they had through Hung and Gala, and this is the kind of decision-making, the cleanliness that we want to see from LNG, playing towards their strengths.
It's worth remembering as well just quite how long Meteor has been in the LPL. Like,
yeah.
When I joined the LPL in 2020, Meteor was already basically a veteran. He started back in 2019 on BLG. He was with BLG for a good couple of years as well. And he had a little bit of time off in between. He's not been a stable member of the LPL that entire time, but still very much a veteran voice within the roster. And within what is ultimately a fairly young roster with Haichao, with Shaoye moving in as relatively new players to the LPL. But JinJiao as well, another player that is somewhat of a veteran. Granted, most of his experience in LPL was on that AD carry role, but the last couple of years been in this support role. Does feel like he's warmed into it. And Burdol obviously coming over from the LCK as well. Feels like a bit of a mishmash squad of kind of veterans and also newer faces and trying to bring this talent up in the carry roles. I that thought was the veterans group up, but won't be able to find the most veteran of them all in Scout.
Coach goes, yes, the plan is there. The big bolded letters, kill Scout. It works out, but they need to try to continue to revisit that, try to get his flash and then punish him. But we are seeing a move out from Haichao. I don't know if he wants to actually commit to this one. He's going to be healing up there. But again, this top trio, Burdol, Meteor, and Haichao, they're the ones you have to watch for LGD in a lot of cases.
He was spotted on a ward on the Krugs, so
I love that
Burdol.
we got the slow-mo.
Yeah.
Oh, no. Approach velocity.
JinJiao is caught. The aftershock very much saving his life there. And he will walk away with that life, but flash on cooldown, ignite on cooldown. Shaoye no cleanse either, so feels very difficult for LGD to step back into this lane again.
Yeah, that was the Enchanted Crystal Arrow being hit by Gala. They got the level 6 advantage there for him. He was the first one to hit it down there in that lane, so really good use of that as soon as they get it to pull the trigger. Is going to have some summoner spells to think about down there. Shaoye, though, on the Jin, still going to be very safe, still having the flash. Something they may want to go for. But I do want to take a look at where the jungle pathing is going to look at next. WeiWei having level 6, I do expect him to try to get some ganks up because as we see already in the jungle matchup, he is starting to fall behind. We had seen that the Maokai was able to keep up last time we got this matchup, but this time around, Meteor has decided, I'm not being active. I'm just going to go farm, and it's paying dividends.
So, we're kind of chilling. We're kind of chilling in this early game. And to be honest, I can kind of see why, right? Where we've got Ash Azir on one side with a Cassante frontline. They're quite happy to play a slower game. On the other side, it's not like a Lilia, a Rumble, and a Zeri aren't going to scale. I feel like they're all quite happy with a bit of a slower early game. It'll be when those Grubs and that Drake come back onto the map in just over a minute's time, JinJiao. Another attempt on Scout's life in the mid lane.
They need his flash, man.
I feel like it's been a quiet early game, except for Scout, who constantly has like 4 people in his lane.
It's been brutal, to be honest, but you know, a big test for our king, Scout, trying to make something happen here. But I also really want to shout out the start that I feel like does happen a lot of the time when you go into the Ashe matchup as the Jin, but the Swifties are definitely helping a lot to get out of the brutal nature of the slowdowns as we actually take a look back at where that flash was burned by Shaoye. So not having that one up, definitely something that WeiWei wants to revisit sometime soon, though Grubs are coming up as well.
So Gala just blasting arrows out on cooldown here. and getting value from them. It's not quite transitioned into a kill, but I feel like that is just a matter of time. Gala has been playing pretty damn well. So, I mean, the hard engage Ezreal to finish out the previous game.
Yeah.
Not too shabby. With Hung grabbing himself an MVP too. Feels like it's been a good series here for LNG's bottom lane. And we did highlight at the start that, realistically, Gala and Hung, you'd expect them to come away with a big advantage over Shaoye and JinJiao. It has definitely felt like LNG's bot lane having the advantage here today. It's just a matter of seeing them really, like, kind of dot those I's and cross the T's. Like, because we have seen good moments, but we've also seen awkward moments, like Gala going in for the 1v4, Hung getting caught out. Like, it's not been perfect,
I'm just going to say,
for sure.
They said no more hard engage on the Ezreal. We're giving you long distance engage with the Enchanted Crystal Arrow. Not going to have it just yet. It is coming up now, but LGD swooping in to take the grubs. And they are going to get grub again here, so they'll have a lot of siege potential in the back end of these fights we have to keep an eye out for.
Yeah, 6 grubs taken there. And Zika, in the meantime, had TP available, but chooses to stay in that bottom side. LNG potentially playing for these Drakes, right? You've got full prior bot for Zika as nobody came down to that bottom lane. And that sets up with Gala pushing in the mid lane for this Drake to be taken by LNG. He's not the fastest Drake taker in the world, is he? The tree, but you know what? Meteor's on the top side.
It's not the Leandries. It's the Locket again. You know, he doesn't have the extra AP damage. He's a slow tree. He's going to have a lot of utility support for his team. Oh, no.
Hug manages to dodge away there. Oh, but the lilting
Open
lullaby
up.
waits for the shield to be gone and sets up for a bonus as well. Gala chunked WeiWei trying to block the 4th shot, but it hits anyway. JinJiao finishes the job. WeiWei just had to be the bodyguard, and our scouts on the backline being taken apart. LNG out of nowhere just fall to pieces.
They might not have a lot of games on these marksmen, but their guns are firing all the same. Haichao and Shaoye combined for massive damage. Shaoye, they're picking up 2. The current call might want to be one of the best ones I've seen this split so far. And the setup from LGD, they find a massive early lead against LNG in Game 3.
I mean, that was... fantastic from LGD. Really, really nice from Meteor to wait for the Unbreakable to be gone so that the sleep isn't blocked. But Gala just walking into the swell seat and the curtain call comes through. I mean, everything just lines up.
Yeah, Gala cleanses a little late there. Does still take the damage afterwards and then just gets completely caught out. And Scout trying to make a master play there, but ends up flashing his way in between Shaoye and Haichao. I think Zika is having a lot to say on the Cassante, but really good combinations. And this is some of the stuff we've been seeing bubble to the surface for LGD. Their decision-making, taking advantage of maybe some of the laps of coverage of LNG has just been really good this series, and that's not something we expect from this LGD team.
And I feel like I understand the logic of trying to find the fight after the fact, right? Where, you know, most of our top teams in the LPL do this, where somebody's caught out, everybody jumps in, right? It's all about playing this out as a team and trying to turn it into a fight win. However, like, WeiWei needs to block that 4th shot onto Gala. Scout is going in as Gala and WeiWei are threatened by the 4th shot, so they can't really push further forwards. WeiWei tries to push further forwards, and that sacrifices Gala, essentially. It feels like it was just slight miscommunication between the members of LNG, and had that been slightly tighter, had there been more on the same page, maybe that's a fight win.
But isn't that the name of the game here? You have to be able to perform in those modes. We saw that in game number 1. We saw that somewhat in game number 2 even. They were still able to slink that one out. But now we get to it. LGD, they're in synchronicity right now. They got 2 Leandries, they got 2 static shivs. You know, everybody going to be on their first item spike here for this Rift Herald fight. LGD starting it up, though.
All right. Herald started, as you say. TP comes up from Haichao to join in the mix. I think LNG posturing like they want to just back away from this one. Scout already on his way to the bottom lane. And LGD know that that's the signal for them to have this one uncontested. LGD, they have been running this early game. It was quiet for the first 10 minutes. These last few minutes, though, has been all about LGD.
And I have to talk about a big factor that has been now in this third game finally unlocked. It hasn't been in the rest of the series. Meteor is just so far ahead of WeiWei. He's going to be hitting these big item spikes. Lilia is a huge go factor for LGD, and we've seen Meteor be a big win condition for them in these setups for the team fight. So I think things right now looking good for LGD. LNG, though, they're seemingly okay with giving some of these early advantages over to LGD. They will still have a ton of decision-making power if somebody overextends with Gala's Enchanted Crystal Arrows, and I'm going to expect to see those setups around the next objectives come clean for them as we have another dragon in about a minute.
I mean, the CS lead is fantastic for Meteor, isn't it? He's on 10 CS per minute as a jungler.
This is what happens when you don't go gank constantly. Last time we saw this matchup between these two guys, like, he was trying to be up there and find those aggressive moves, but this time around, he's just saying, I can farm it up and get so far ahead, it's not going to matter.
I think also just being able to get into WeiWei's jungle, deny some of those camps, and extend that lead for himself. Herald going to come down in the mid lane. Drake is spawning in 30 seconds. Now guaranteed prio. Meteor jumps back to the rest of his team. This might be an overcommitment from LGD as JinJiao falls. Meteor has his sleep blocked from Gala as the falls shot, as the curtain call comes in, but Scout just threatens. He would have just killed Shaoye if the curtain call committed. And now the TP's come in and Burdol has been left alone because nobody else can stick around. LNG punish hard as LGD overstep.
That man just got thrown into the pit at a heavy metal concert. He was getting bramble smashed. He was getting knocked around left and right. And LNG, they capitalize yet again on some of the moments that maybe LGD aren't all together. They are going to look at a dragon. This gives LNG so much decision-making priority for the rest of the game to be on a soul point of an ocean soul with this style of composition.
It's only 3-3 in terms of kills, but it feels like there's been a bit more than that going on, doesn't it? It feels like LNG now getting themselves a third Drake. That is a terrible time for LGD to lose control of the map after getting 6 grubs, trading those for those Drakes. Using the Herald mid lane, they thought that that was an opportunity to grab a tier 1. Instead, it's an opportunity to potentially lose control of the map here. I don't know if Meteor meant to click on that one or not, but I mean, just great engage out from LNG.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't matter. Some of the initial goes wide. You have enough to follow it up. And then Shaoye just gets so baited here. Not having vision on the TP and unfortunately opened up the curtain call. This is, though, a situation where Burdol's TP just leaves him completely out to dry. I think in those extensions like that, those mistakes can't come through.
I wonder if Scout's combo was on cooldown there, because he just sort of queued at Shaoye. You'd expect him to try and slide over the wall and use his ultimate, right? His ultimate was available. I don't know if maybe his dash was on cooldown. Could have been an opportunity to get a bonus kill onto Shaoye there, but without flash, maybe he didn't want to get too close to the tower and end up getting caught out. And to be honest, I can understand not trying to make the huge play in this game with how close this series has been so far. Like, for LNG, this is important at the end of the day. You can't afford to just be losing games like this. You could lose your seeding, ultimately.
Yeah.
Like, they're not locked in for top 2 just yet. Currently, I believe LNG are only locked in for, like, top 7. If everything goes absolutely terribly for them at this point, I think they can still fall a long way.
Yeah, they need to win this one out. Getting a 2-0 would have been massive for them to move their game differential up to 7, but now the biggest they can get up to back is 6. So thinking about that a little bit more, because the details of that is the fact that you can get a bye with the first 2 spots in this group. So it's all about trying to finish first or second. And LNG, they should not have found themselves in this position. But isn't it just like the LPL for a team like LGD to take advantage of the end of this Rumble stage and try to take down LNG? They are at a consistent advantage, down 2,000 gold up, and they have really good team fight tools. But here comes LNG.
So roots blocked by JinJiao, and now the response on towards Hung and Gala, but no real damage going to come on through. Turret defended from LNG though, and they will just continue to maintain control of the mid lane, or at least try and maintain control of the mid lane. It's shivs galore on the scoreboard, by the way. We've got 3 Shivs there. We've got 3 Leandries there. We've got 5, 6 Merc Treads there. 7 Merc Treads. Oh my God, so
Merc
many
Treads are so OP. There's another one. They're just being completed everywhere. We have 2 lockets
this is
inside of LNG.
I don't know who built the first item. Everyone else was like, "Can I copy your homework?"
That looks good
yeah,
too. Yeah, I mean
everybody.
everybody. We got to the double lockets, everything just matching up for everybody. I like it. Everybody's synergizing here in the LPL, but it is also a situation where it is maybe a bit disheartening as an LNG fan to be watching something like this when we have seen them dominate every single top team in this Rumble stage in their group, and obviously their only fall was to FPX, but then you have a series like this start to come into question.
All right, we've got Drake coming up in just over a minute. Mazel is subbing in for the color caster role today. First off, thank you for stepping in our time of need. I'm going to give you your opportunity now. I'm going to set you up. Talk to me about this Dragon fight, soul point for LNG. What has to happen for them to get this Drake?
Well, first of all, I do not want to see LGD give this one over for free, but I think if LNG are looking for it, they got to find the big Nature's Grasp from WeiWei out from the side, get the follow through there. It's got to be led off by Gala or WeiWei, and for LGD's response on the other side, you cannot be getting caught out. You have to be as a succinct 5-man and maybe try to pull back a fight where Shaoye can finish off kills with the curtain call in the end. But it's all about mid lane priority before we get to that point.
Yeah. I think it's going to be really important that LGD have all 5 of their flashes up for this fight as well, so finding an arrow for Gala, easier said than done. When everyone on the enemy team can flash away. Okay, TP coming on through. 15 seconds until the Drake spawns, and LGD not in control of the river for the time being. Zika's even here to tank up on the front line. It feels like complete control for LNG for now, and there's a wave crashing into the town. Nobody there for LGD to answer it, as they just try and commit through the bottom side of the river to get in and fight this.
Look at Haichao, he's trying to get a little bit of positioning over on Zika. He will spot him out and check the crystal arrow.
No. JinJiao has to flash away, gets himself a shield, but can he survive? He walks away with his life for now as Hung tanking on that front line. Meteor gets a double sleep. Oh, it's only a sleep onto 1, in fact. And WeiWei not the target he would have wanted. Curtain call is just going to be blocked. Everybody lines up on LNG. Zika can soak the damage quite happily. Okay, Gala gets clipped. Nice shot from Shaoye. There's a Hex flash.
Round 2
from JinJiao. Are they going to go for this one? It's a 50-50 in the pit. Drake down to 2K, and WeiWei grabs it. And an Ocean Soul in a low health fight like this is beautiful. It's a 4v4 now as the fight continues, but again, slow fights like this are perfect with an Ocean Soul. Zika kiting away as LGD look for a way back in, but the slow coming out from Hung sets up for a chase down. Scout chasing onto Haichao, the longest fight I've seen in a while as LGD trying to kite away, but the slow's coming up through. Gala goes wide on the volley though, but there's no tower. There's nowhere to run away to, and Zika finds a stun. JinJiao goes in, but Scout's flanking on the top side, and LGD being corralled onto the wrong side of the map. The damage isn't there for LGD, and LNG, it's slow, it's excruciating, but it's a fight nonetheless.
I can't believe it. I mean, that's just gotta feel so unfair for LGD. They were so low health bars, and they're just watching LNG follow them as their health bars go back to full. And then at the end of it, you're facing a full health, full strength LNG, and they absolutely come to pay the tax here. Haichao is in a lot of trouble.
Oh, really nice roots from WeiWei there as well. Does it where Haichao wants to run to? So Haichao essentially just has to stay close to a Maokai, and with a pick on the enemy mid laner as Baron is on the map. I mean, this should be pretty much free.
Yeah.
Meteor only just respawning now.
And if you look, I love to look at the kind of mindsets, the feelings that we're seeing coming out of the players. Haichao very, very upset with himself in that one, shaking his head. It is a rough place to get caught out, and LGD's hopes just flew out the window. As we take a look, it actually starts off, both teams, like the initial engages do not work out, but then we go back for round 2 just like it's a fighting game, and it's really nice to see that LNG sync up here. They are patient, they're very reserved in how they want to approach this one, but then all hell breaks loose to some extent, and the Dragon, WeiWei, making sure to secure this one is huge, because again, at the end of this fight, it guarantees them the better numbers and the advantage to clean it up.
nice all-out onto Meteor there from Zika. Guarantees the smite for his jungler, guarantees Ocean Soul for his team. And then at this point, you know, everybody's like half health on both sides, but then as the chase comes through, you said it on the cast there, like, you just watch LNG's health bars go back up to basically full.
It's so disgusting. And then you get to the end of this fight, you're like, okay, well, I mean, we're all like sub-half health. We have squishy members that are being completely trounced, and I think we're starting to see some of those item differentials come through. This is going to be where LNG take the lead over. I love that Shaoye tries to go back for it, but finally LNG have wrestled control of the game fully away from LGD.
Well played by Shaoye at the end to find one extra kill. It did cost him his flash though, so a little bit more vulnerable in potential follow-up fights. But now with Baron, you expect LNG to try and get control of this map. One of the things that they have been good at is controlling side lanes well. It's always been something Scout's been decent at. And now Zika gets to move into the top side. And Scout's just going to recall again. I guess he can afford an item.
Ooh.
Decides against it.
And Shaoye did have some safety there, but I love that LNG are looking for it. Again, we said from the beginning, this is how they find any kills, is to start it off with Gala or WeiWei. They're looking to siege on this top side while Scout is pushing out bot lane. They will have the Baron buff for a little bit less than a minute now. Still pretty big play for them, but maybe LGD looking to answer.
Yeah, I mean, LNG, I think they get one more wave of Baron buff, maybe two, but I think it'll only just be this next wave. Trying to siege on the top side with 4 players, while Scout presses the bottom side. Uncaught by a solar flare, but Unbreakable makes that not the greatest endeavor. They're just trying to get onto the wave. They're trying to use the hard engage to buy space here. Oh, Q3 hits JinJiao. Scouts nearly finished the tower down in that bottom side. 15 seconds on the Baron. Maybe that next wave will come into the mix as well. And with the cannon, the bot lane tower goes down. If they can finish tier 2s on both sides of the map, even if they haven't broken the base, this is still a huge win for LNG. That is a 3,500 gold Baron play, plus a tier 2 that went down after.
Really big swing of the lead. Now almost 4,000 gold up for LNG, and it ain't been clean, but all that matters is the results in the end, and LNG have pulled this one from the brink. Definitely a little bit heartbreaking for LGD. They still have some fights left in it. Meteor has been really big on the Lilting Lullaby setups. You just got Lord Doms completed for Shaoye, so his third item going to be spiking. The Runans for Haichao. Some of the team fights are going to be strong for LGD, but you've got one team fight left, and it's that big, scary Elder Dragon in about 45 seconds.
LGD are up against the wall now, but actually, in terms of gold, they're not that far down. There is no, there's a little bit of healing reduction, sorry, from Meteor and from Burdol, so the Ocean Soul will get less value. But is this what it's going to come down to? Please, LNG, I beg you, do not flip Elder. This is not the time for flipping Elder.
Why not? I haven't got my birthday present yet. Maybe it's an LGD win.
Well, maybe. This would be an upset and a half, wouldn't it, to start our day? But not being allowed entrance for now. They do have a control ward in the back of the pit, thanks to the ocean map. They've hidden it in that brush. Now trying to use that top side of the river as a way in, as LNG start the Elder off out of vision.
There's the setup here on the Zika, but I think you have to watch the trigger pull.
Ooh, arrow goes between the posts there, but a flick back onto JinJiao. Gets the solar flare down, but it's gone. Oh, with Ocean Soul as well. They can just keep this going. Burdol knocked back into the fray! And the all-out pulls him back over the wall! My goodness, LGD just taken apart on this one. Beautifully done by LNG. Not even entertaining Elder Dragon. No 50-50s here. They know they can just win the fight straight up.
They took the loss in game 1 heavily. You saw them come out in game 2 and absolutely smack LGD down, and maybe put an insult to injury there on the Haichao. He will be there and taken down. Oh no, it's LNG in a rightful place here though, Munchables.
Haichao gets his recall cancelled, TP's in to try and save the game, and just gets one shot That's LNG finishing things out. A very solid game number 3 to end the series. They keep their position in the standings, and in fact, they take sole position of first place in the standings at 6-1.
Bit heartbreaking for LGD, but the fact that they even brought LNG to 3 games is something to hold high. They will now match in IP in terms of the 2 game wins as a whole, but it is a rough situation. See some of the heads held a little low for LGD. It's not been a fun Rumble stage for them in Group Ascent as they move down to 0-7. But this team right here, they have taken the Rumble stage by storm, Munchables.
Yeah, everyone in chat, drop at 07, salute LGD, matching an IP on that 07 score. Yeah, I mean, tough
The battle
for LGD.
for the wooden spoon is on.
Honestly, though, LGD, you know, there were some big mistakes today. There's no two ways about it. But